So after probably almost 40 years of being in business and specifically starting businesses, I'm often asked, Joey, is there a checklist of things that you should keep in mind if you want to start a business? I came up with the 12 steps to starting a business. First thing is to know yourself. So from the very beginning, we have to be clear about who we are, what we are capable of doing, what we are good at, and what we're not so good at. Being good at has to do with what you know, how well you do something, what you're passionate about, whatever that is. You need to be clear about that. I read a book by Eric Ries. In that book, he actually says that every new business requires 3 distinct personalities. Preferably, those personalities are going to be found in 3 different people who are starting the startup. In many cases, we don't have the luxury of having 3 different people involved in starting a business. Even though you're by yourself, you have to be clear which of these 3 personalities you possess. That will dictate what you should focus on. These 3 personalities that Eric talks about is the hacker, the hustler, and the designer. In technical terms, when we say hacker, this is the expert when it comes to how what needs to be done gets done. So if you're in the restaurant business, your hacker would be the chef. The hacker would be the guy who knows how to prepare the food and run the kitchen. That's the hacker personality. The guy who knows what to do that people are willing to pay for. The second personality would be the hustler. The hustler is the guy who knows how to sell. They know how to present what it is that you are producing. They're the ones that can convince other people that what you've got is worth buying and even convince potential employees that your business is worth joining. The hustler is the guy that, is able to attract customers, investors, employees, or any stakeholder. Finally, you've got what we call the designer. The designer personality is the one who knows how everything fits together. He or she is the person who knows that if we do this, this is going to happen. If we don't do this, this is going to happen. They're sort of the person who knows how everything affects everything else. You have to know which of those you are. And once you figure out which of those you are, I guess that brings us to the second thing you have to think about, which is gotta know your people. And when we talk about knowing your people, I'm not talking about all the employees you're ever gonna hire. I'm talking about the ones who are gonna be closest to you, working closest with you. You might wanna call that your management team. You might wanna call that your founding team. You might wanna call that the people that are gonna be there with you from beginning to end. So these are the people that you really need to know. You need to know not only what they're bringing in to the business, but also what they're not bringing in. You need to know what their strengths are, and you also need to know what their weaknesses are. You need to know your people. And the third thing that you really have to know is you have to know your customers. A lot of people think that going to business is about coming up with a great idea, whether it's a product or service, and then finding a way to sell that idea. That is important, obviously, but to me, it's actually quite easy. Ideas are free. We have them all the time. And every day, I can't imagine how many millions of ideas are born in people's minds which never see the light of day. And the reason why they don't see the light of day is because there are no customers. And the reason why there are no customers is that when the person thought about the idea, they were not clear about who they could sell that product or service to. Knowing your customer, in my mind, is even more important than knowing that product or service really well. The way things work is not for you to come up with a product or a service and then go looking for customers. That's not the way it works. The way it works is you come up with a product and service, go looking for a customer, and when the customers are found or not found, you adjust your product or service, not only to satisfy the customers that you have found, but to be able to find more customers like them. The only way you'll be able to do that is if you spend a lot of time thinking about knowing who your customer is. You need to know what motivates them. You need to know where they are geographically, physically, where are they? What are their characteristics? When do they buy? When do they not buy? You need to know as much as you can about that particular persona. And once you know that persona, you have to figure out how now you could attract that persona to your product or service. And I'm Joey Gurango, your business technology coach.